It's Aaron Fernandez, 10-2 with Affinity. Caleb Scherer, 10-2 with Blue-Red Gifts Storm. These players will be given the green light here in just a moment, and we'll be underway. Now, Affinity basically does the same thing every game. Present one heck of a clock and hope to kill them before they kill you.
But no disruption in this matchup. So, I mean, when we get to the sideboard, it's a little bit different. But this has to be a matchup Caleb's comfortable with. I understand that, you know, Affinity can be very fast and he might get run over, but he doesn't have to worry about playing against counter spells, discard at least game one, and really nothing in the way of removal for either Goblin Electromancer or Borrel Truth of Compliance.
3 Galvanic Blast.
Okay.
That's the only concern outside of dying very quickly. So for Caleb, and this can happen, he can die very quickly because it is Affinity. There is an Ink Moth and Nexus on the battlefield, so that can be suited up with Cranial Plating or dump a bunch of counters onto that with Archbound Ravager, but it's really about speed.
Yep. Although Fernandez's start here, this is the type of opening that can lead to some turn 3 kills, especially now with Caleb having taken some damage off of his Steam Vents.
Going to use the Spring Leaf Drum in combination with an Ornithopter. Here comes an Archbound Ravager. Of course, that artifact creature will enter the battlefield with a counter, and now here's an attack for 2 thanks to Signal Pest and the Battle Cry. Mem Knight will deal the 2 points of damage. Caleb will fall down to 16, and we're going to go back over to Scherer here in just a moment. Looks like he's got a copy of Spire Bluff Canal. Also has a copy of Scalding Tarn. He's going to play the Spire Bluff Canal. Here's the cost reducer in Burrell, and now, fingers crossed, it doesn't die. It doesn't look like it will. Glimmer Void is the land for the turn. Obviously a top deck there for Aaron Fernandez, given that he didn't play a land last turn. And now, this is a Nets champion. So Fernandez is empty-handed. Here come the attackers, and I think Caleb Scherer is more than happy to take this damage.
Take this hit and try to win this turn. Empty-handed, no disruption. Let's see what Scherer can do here.
Desperate Ritual, the draw, you have to imagine that matters. He's also got a Scalding Tarn in hand, so land number 3 is here. He'll sacrifice that land. Going to fall down to 12. See if he goes any lower than 12. Just a basic island will leave him at 12. That's a pretty island. Beta or no? I don't know.
No, that's I think Japanese 4th edition.
All right, it's a pretty good looking island.
I don't even know if that was necessarily a printing, but I know there was Renaissance and some other 4th edition, alternative 4th edition sets that got printed in other languages. And
this is probably pretty good news for Aaron that Caleb is reaching for all of the things necessary to go off. He's probably fine. 3 red, spell 1. Manamorphose, going to be a little plus mana here, spell 2. 2 red, 2 blue here for Caleb. Draw a card. It's gifts on given time. Now this is, if it's gifts like this, we're probably done.
So get a Desperate Ritual, Poetic Ritual, a Manamorphose, and whatever.
Whatever X is. And he already has a Past in Flames in hand. Yeah, I gotta say, as a fan of Gifts Ungiven, he's gonna get a Grape Shot, which is his win condition. I'm a big fan of Gifts Ungiven. I'm glad that it's actually seeing play again now. Just a really good Magic card. You think about it, Champions of Kamigawa, what was that, 05?
Yeah, a while ago.
This card's almost 12 years old.
It's hard to believe.
I know. Best card in its Block Pro Tour by a lot.
And then in the Block Constructed format also.
Yeah. Unbelievable Magic card. The Rituals are going to Caleb's hand, which is exactly where he wants them. He just wants more mana, so he'll make more with the Pyretic Ritual. He's up to 3 again. Spell number 4. Spell number 5. Up to 5 red. What's spell 6 here, Caleb? Looks like it might be a Serum Visions. It'll be a Thought Scour, actually.
Yeah, a little bit more action in the graveyard, hopefully to flash back with Past in Flames.
He'll draw a card. Picked up a Serum Visions. And now we go Past in Flames. He's got 2 red floating. That's spell 7.
Yeah, and this is easy mode from here. I mean, he's got a lot of spells to work with. These rituals make a lot of mana. He can Manamorphose for additional mana to both to gain mana and to flashback cantrips or what have you. I think we're going to be get into 20 here without much trouble.
In just a moment, as another copy of Gifts, and I think that's the big addition to this deck. Obviously, we've talked about Gifts and how it's cheaper, but the fact that you get to play it while going off once, and in most instances, twice.
Yep.
And he can search for basically the same stuff he did last time, which is a Grape Shot, a Desperate Ritual, a Manamorphose, and a Pyretic Ritual, and no matter how you chop him, he's probably happy with whatever he receives. Ten spells here for Caleb. 4 red mana floating.
If I was Fernandez, I would not stress on this decision.
He
Like
didn't.
the concession.
He didn't. He said, you know what? There's no way for me to get out of this one. And Caleb Scherer is going to win game number 1 here over Aaron Fernandez. Blue-Red Gift Storm up a game here over Affinity. We go to the sideboards. We will start with Aaron Fernandez, who was not fast enough that game, but he's got some interaction to work with. 2 Graph Digger's Cage, 2 Thoughtseize, 2 Gear Pow Aether Grid, 2 Ancient Grudge, 2 Spell Pierce, and some one-ofs here in Chalice of the Void, Blood Moon, Etched Champion, Pithy Needle, and a Whip of Flare.
You can only sideboard so heavy with your Affinity because you need to leave the artifact stuff intact. But I see 5 very solid options here in 2 Thoughtseizes, 2 Spell Pierce, and 1 Chalice of the Void. Chalice is a potential haymaker. He draws it early enough, and Thoughtseize and Spell Pierce, just some good generic interaction.
Caleb Scherer, he's got 4 Lightning Bolts, 3 Blood Moons, 3 Dispels, 2 Echoing Truth, 2 Empty the Warrens, and a Repeal. What do we like there?
I like the bolts, and I could see bringing in the Echoing Truths if you just assume Fernandez has some permanence that you care about. Maybe it's Chalice of the Void, maybe it's Aethersworn Canonist, but just a little bit of interaction with the table.
Well, there are the options there for both players. Game number 1, pretty straightforward stuff. So while they shuffle up in sideboard, should take a couple minutes, which is a great time to introduce those who've never seen Split Second to it right now.
Grand Prix Orlando is quickly approaching, and we've got all of the info for the Sunday PTQ. First up, since the main event will be Kaladesh Aether Revolt Limited, that means the format for the PTQ will be standard, with 8 pods of 32 players battling out for that Pro Tour invite. Entry to the event is $50, and players will get the Foil Progenitus GP promo just for playing. Each pod will be Swiss structure, and if you don't happen to get into the top 8, that's okay. You'll still get prizes for each win during the pod. If competing for the chance to go to the Pro Tour isn't quite what you had in mind for the weekend, we'll have plenty of other side events, including Modern Masters 2017 drafts. Make sure that if you want to play in the main event, though, that you sign up soon, like today, as it's the last day to get the Scrapper Champion playmat with your main event entry. If you're looking for future playmats, there's a good chance that the recently revealed gods for Amonkhet will be front and center once the set releases. The art for the 5 gods was recently revealed on Daily MTG, but full versions of the images illustrated by Chase Stone recently showed up on Reddit. With the extra details in the full images, we can see a legion of zombies crowded around the base of the crocodile-headed god, which means that it is most likely to be the Black-Align god rather than the Jackal-headed god as many assumed before. We're still quite a ways away from preview season though, so we'll just have to wait to see if they're monocolored or multicolored and to find out what's going on with the snake god's staff looking like an Avacyn symbol. Finally, players will soon be able to reign in all their glory online with the Monarch mechanic. Multiplayer draft set Conspiracy Take the Crown wasn't released on Magic Online, so a limited amount of cards were selected from the set to be added to treasure chests in order to get them into the online play space. Cards were selected based on the likelihood that they would see constructed play, such as Duretti, Kaya, Leovold, and Recruiter of the Guard. In an article posted yesterday to the Magic Online Tumblr page, Ali Medwin explains that the Monarch mechanic wasn't expected to see play, but then the card Palace Jailer began showing up in Paper Legacy events. As a result, certain cards with the Monarch mechanic will be added to treasure chests, including Palace Jailer and Queen Marchesa, long may she reign. That's our show for today, February 24th. Make sure to like and subscribe to our channel to keep up with all the latest Magic news and strategy. I'm Jeremy Knoll, and this has been Split Second.
Big shout out to Jeremy Knoll. Fantastic episode of Split Second. Make sure you subscribe over to the YouTube page, youtube.com/StarCityGames, so you can check that show out that happens 3 to 4 times a week by Jeremy Knoll. It's Caleb Scherer and Aaron Fernandez here, getting ready here for game number 2. Let's learn a little bit more about our Storm players, shall we, Patrick? Caleb Scherer, 28 years old, from St. Louis, Missouri. 2 open top 8s, 1 invitational win. Of course, 2 invitational top 8s to his name, and a runner-up our Players' Championship last year.
A good stretch.
To say the least.
Yes. Really starting to hit his stride. Did a lot of his work over the last couple of years in Classics, not necessarily a whole lot of open success, but has been converting a lot more recently.
Curious to see over time if we see an expansion in Caleb's game. Now, when he did win his Invitational, he played Affinity in the modern portion of that tournament. So we've seen some expansion, but will we ever see him casting Thought Seizes and Fatal Push?
Seems
and that
unlikely.
stuff? Yeah, I think it's probably pretty unlikely too. He loves the Storm deck no matter the format. In Legacy, it's a great place to be. In Modern, it's looking like a pretty good place to be given his 10-2 start here. There's a Graph Digger's Cage. Now, I'm curious to see how he overcomes this effect, but Caleb is someone who's been playing Storm a very long time. I'm sure he's overcome many a hate card in his time playing Storm.
And that's part of the reason I would imagine that he would bring in the Echoing Truths here. Just got to assume Affinity has some artifact they can put on the battlefield that's disruptive. There's a lot of options if they want to fight Storm. This is one of them.
Graph Digger's Cage, arguably the most played graveyard hate card right now between that and Surgical Extraction, so you can make a pretty educated guess on what you think people are going to have.
Yep. Graph Digger's Cage makes a ton of sense too because it is an artifact. There are synergies.
Ah, yes. Here's a Steel Overseer. You can put a counter on the Graph Digger's Cage.
Yep.
No, not quite. An island, is it a cost reducer? It is. It's Baral, Chief of Compliance. Let's go over to Aaron Fernandez. Now, here's the thing. When you do what Aaron did, which is keep a hand that might be based around Graph Digger's Cage, your hand gets a little bit slower.
Yes.
He's not off to a fast start here.
And we saw this was the board. This was the turn 1 and 2 that got him killed on 3 last game. And again, shields are completely down. There's no mana up. Now, working around the Graph Digger's Cage is complicated, or might be.
Caleb will sacrifice a Scalding Tarn. He's going to go a digging. See what he wants to search up. Basic Mountain. Now, how does that mountain rank on the scale for you? You a fan?
I think it's fine. I personally do not enjoy playing with non-English cards.
Oh, okay. Okay. I feel like I didn't know that. I know you were anti-foil. I didn't know you were anti-non-English. Maybe anti-strength.
I just prefer my cards to be readable for me and for my expected range of opponents.
Okay.
Most of whom are native English speakers.
Got it. Steel Overseer is going to put a counter on a couple artifact creatures here.
I'm trying to get out of the habit of saying foreign cards.
Non-English.
Non-English.
Non-English is the terminology we use.
Right.
It's okay. You'll break it.
It takes a while.
Yeah.
It's built up habit.
Yep. It's like saying, it's like trying to change the habit of saying things are being put into play as opposed to on the battlefield.
Yeah. And, you know, I kind of go through, you know, put into play I think is plain English, so I don't mind saying that. But yeah, try to use the official language as much as possible.
It can be tough. Blinkmoth Nexus is animated, and it's coming into the red zone. Steel Overseer is going to grow the creatures. Now, again, the question here is, 1, is this clock going to be fast enough for Aaron? And 2, is Caleb going to find an answer to the Graph Digger's Cage? Because we know his answer is not about killing it.
Yep.
Because if it were, Welding Jar would be fantastic right now. It's about bouncing it and then going off. And he does not have an Echoing Truth just yet. So now Caleb will draw another copy of Brawl. Not great in multiples. And he's got another copy in his hand. So let's make it 3 total that he's drawn this game. He'll start with Manamorphose.
And I think if he's doing this right now, it's Scherer saying, I'm dead next turn most likely. I've just got to find an Echoing Truth and hope that I have enough resources left over to go off with. Manamorphose pass is a desperate turn.
It's not great. It's not great. Memnite in the house.
Yes, nice.
Standard classic competitors, that is time in the round. Active player finish your turn, and from there take up to 5.
Time for some beatdowns here.
Standard classic competitors, that is time in the round.
We'll see an activation. Yep, on everybody from this Steel Overseer. Don't forget the other Steel Overseer is active too. But this should allow Caleb to get one more turn.
Yeah, I think I would have preferred an attack with the larger Steel Overseer instead of the activation here. I think it results in more damage this turn. Probably doesn't matter in the balance. He has an overwhelming advantage next turn, but who knows? Might mess up a Scalding Tarn or a Steam Vents or something to do a little bit extra.
Well, Caleb Echoing Truth or bust. Bust. Aaron Fernandez is going to win game number 2 here over Caleb Scherer. Affinity. Blue-red Gift Storm, not green-red Gift Storm, blue-red Gift Storm. They're going to go to game number 3. And you do see the power of the hate card there. If there's no cage, maybe Caleb wins that game. I don't think his hand was actually all that great. I didn't see a Gift Storm given or anything like that, but he didn't do much of anything that go-around.
Well, I mean, Metamorphose pass, so we knew he had a lot of respect for it, couldn't find an answer. Wasn't the fastest kill. I think Fernandez, that was a turn 5 kill.
Yeah, I think 5 or 6.
Yeah, not that fast for undisrupted, but the Grafsticker's Cage was all the cushion he needed.
Well, I don't think a lot changes for Caleb. Look, he probably knew that Cage was coming. He probably has Echoing Truth in his deck. Maybe he has Empty the Warrens, not entirely sure. Maybe he has Lightning Bolt, but he's already shuffling up and getting ready to go.
I think empty is a hard way to do it against Affinity. Because you can empty for 10 or 12, and that's just not enough.
Sure. Especially if Archmon Ravager is involved.
Right.
Yeah.
So I would just try to go with the spell route and hope to have enough answers for Grafdigger's Cage and whatever else.
Quick conversation about that YouTube page I mentioned before, game number 2. That's where you can find all our episodes of Split Second, which you hopefully just enjoyed, by Jeremy Knoll. You can find the Versus series and a whole bunch more.
A lot of content over the YouTube page, and you can subscribe today at youtube.com/StarCityGames. A lot of archives up there, including split-second videos, Versus series, and Commander Versus, Magic Online playtesting, the best of the SCG Tour, and much more. Again, you can subscribe today for free over at youtube.com/StarCityGames. Get notified when new content is uploaded to the page.
Over 111,000 subscribers currently.
Going all the way up.
Yeah, baby. Shout out to all 111,000 of you that are following our YouTube page. We very much appreciate it, and we're going to have more cool content coming out. Don't want to spoil anything, but, you know, there's Modern Masters coming out soon. And we have been known to do some mini-masters. Put 2 and 2 together, you know what's going on.
Right.
You know what's going on.
You can deduce for yourself.
I think some people want to see Todd Anderson and Stephen Green go to battle. Well, at least I do. That's for sure. And you know what? If I had to pick one, if I were a betting man, which I'm not, but if I was, give me Stephen Green.
The American Dream.
All day. In Island, a Serum Vision's here for Caleb. Lightning Bolt's the draw. He does have an Echoing Truth in hand already.
So this hand is good for Caleb in one sense, which is he has interaction. He can buy himself a little bit of time with Lightning Bolt, and he has Echoing Truth to get rid of any sort of offending artifact that prevents him from going off. The downside of this hand is that he has Lightning Bolt and Echoing Truth. Neither of these cards really facilitate him going off, and so now the question is, can he interact with the table enough with these cards while still getting enough rituals and cantrips to do his thing?
There's another bad part you didn't mention.
He doesn't have another land.
Yes, you found it.
Well, that really doesn't have anything to do with whether or not it's Lightning Bolt, Echoing Truth, or some other spell, you know?
Pulverize, whatever else it could be.
Pulverize.
Oh, no. Oh, no. Yikes. It's Thoughtseize.
I mean, whatever, right? You know, this is not so bad if Fernandez is really leaning on some creature to keep the Glimmer Void on.
Well, he's got the Darksteel Citadel.
Sure.
So
okay,
the Glimmer Void, that's there forever.
He's fine.
If Caleb is leaning on that Echoing Truth and Aaron actually has a Grafdigger's Cage, though he did nothing on turn 1, which is very strange from Affinity to do nothing on turn 1.
I would select Serum Vision out of this hand.
I think I would as well.
Because it's the only castable card. And even if he draws land number 2, the hand is still nonsense. Nonsense.
It's not good.
I'm not giving Scherer any looks at a land here, as much as I can prevent it.
Well, he's going to take Gifts Ungiven.
Okay.
Maybe the best card in hand. And the big follow-up, Signal Pest. To Caleb we go. Desperate Ritual the draw. Serum Visions, can he draw land? Yes. It's a basic mountain. Couple lands on top. Just one Inspire Buff Canal, which I have to imagine he wants to keep. The other card's a Pyretic Ritual, which he may want to keep.
This is why I would have selected Serum Visions out of the hand, because now Caleb's hand is fully functional.
Yep.
He's got mana to work with, some land drops to make. Still has the Bolts and Echoing Truth as interaction.
There's a mountain. He'll pass that turn back over to Aaron Fernandez. Fernandez will draw a card. Another copy of Glimmer Void. I know you want the artifacts to die to let the Glimmer Voids go.
I would love it.
It's going to be tough. It's going to be tough to kill the indestructible artifact land. Vault Scourge, take 2.
Nice.
It's not the fastest clock.
I do enjoy the. Okay, now we got a real card.
This is a real card here.
Okay, now we got something going here.
What were you going to say you enjoy?
Just the Affinity trash can.
There's a lot of rubbish out there.
Here's this dope.
Yeah.
Here's this whatever.
We're going to bolt the Ravager. You want to make a move?
He can make it a 4/4, but that involves losing every other. No, I guess he keeps the Glimmer Voids, right? Because he would have the Ravager still. This is a little bit more conservative. And he knows about Echoing Truth.
Yeah, so if he sacked them all and then got his Rapture Echoing Truth.
Still knows about Echoing Truth.
That's game, if that happened. There's Baral, Chief of Compliance. Everything's a little bit cheaper. Galvanic Blast in hand right now. And here's Cranial Plating, very powerful Magic card. Though Aaron Fernandez does know that his opponent has Echoing Truth and Lightning Bolt in hand. So this first go Cranial Plating not going to be great, and I actually kind of like the no equip.
Yep. You know he's likely to bolt anyway.
Mm-hmm.
And I think he may want to spend this turn Galvanic Blasting anyway, and he wanted to just play a 4th artifact as padding against a Volt in response, breaking up Metalcraft.
Yeah. He'll just pass the turn back for now. Caleb with the Bolt, Echoing Truth. Another copy of Baral.
This is some risky business right here from Fernandez. I mean, if you want to wait until he bolts so he can't counter, that's fine. But I would not let him go to the main phase.
Maybe the thought process is, I can screw you up while you're going off.
Or Scherer has a 2nd copy in his hand anyway, so I may be better served. If I don't think it's enabling him to do much business, just let him have it to strand the 2nd copy. Guess that's fine. I mean, Scherer just did say go, didn't do anything.
Ornithopter in the house. Vault Scourge wearing a hat.
And double black up here through the Glimmer Voids too, so he can move the Cranial Plating if there is a bolt.
Yep. Beatdowns. Battlecry trigger there on the Signal Pest. So attack for 1. Well, let's make sure I get the math right here. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 with the Vault Scourge.
And from Scherer's side, this game is sort of the tutorial on the dangers of becoming too reactive and too interactive. He's got an Echoing Truth, which is a necessary evil because of now you've seen Graph Digger's Cage, and there could be other artifacts. And the bolts make sense. I'm not saying he shouldn't bring these cards in, but right now his hand's just not a whole lot going on. He's got some mana and an Echoing Truth, a 2nd copy of Brawl, and that is it. He is really far away from being able to do anything threatening. Now there are a lot of draw steps, maybe Past in Flames, maybe Gifts Ungiven that change that equation quite a bit. But for the time being, his hand really is not much going on here.
Mox Opal. Equip the Pest. And will we see some attacks here? Here come both. And of course there will be a Battlecry trigger.
Yeah, the more I think about it, the more I sort of like this line here from Fernandez of not doing anything with the Galvanic Blast because we know about the 2nd copy of Baral. And maybe, you know, if Scherer goes to his turn and goes, cast a Desperate Ritual for 1, then you kill in response.
And if it never comes to that, that's 4 damage in your hand.
It's a lot of damage.
Yeah. Steel Overseer. Pass the turn back. Now, would I like to see that pre-combat? Maybe. Because if he plays it pre-combat, he's taking away the ability to move the plating at instant speed. So maybe yes, maybe no.
I like Fernandez doing that because he's giving up a point of damage in theory, but it really constrains how Scherer can respond to various things.
Now you saw an Echoing Truth there, bounce the Steel Overseer. And now for Caleb, again, I don't think he's got some sort of green light to go nuts right now. So we might just see some kind of weird value Past in Flames. And he did pick up a copy of Gifts Ungiven, so things are getting a little interesting here.
Yeah, I think before your line of do a value, gifts, and maybe bolt a couple things, there's an argument for that because you're not disrupting your ability to go off down the line and you buy yourself a lot of time. Now with Gifts Ungiven, Scherer might be thinking, all right, I can win the game next turn.
The scary thing right now for Caleb is he's passing the turn back. He could just die now because of the Galvanic Blast.
Yeah.
But I don't think he knows that. Blinkmoth Nexus the draw here for Aaron Fernandez. He's going to play that land. He's going to play Steel Overseer, probably pre-combat. Like the tapping.
Yeah, Fernandez has definitely played this game tight. I mean, he's aware of the value of moving the Cranial Plating inside of combat to disrupt Scherer's interaction. And I think my instinct was kill Baral straight away. But I think with the 2nd copy of Baral in hand, that Fernandez knew about. He selected a better line here and is just waiting with that Galvanic Blast.
Here come the Knuckleheads. I think Caleb is going to be going very low right now. He's exactly at 4.
Yeah, now he's at 4.
Kill you. That's that. Aaron Fernandez is going to win this match over Caleb Scherer. 2-1. Affinity going to be fast enough to take care of Blue-Red Gift Storm. And this is kind of what you mentioned during the match. When you